Hi, this is Andrew Park, and this video is about principle number 2 of the guiding principles for the inclusion of LGBTI people in development policies and programs. Principle number 2 reads, the terms and lived experiences related to diverse LGBTI populations differ from culture to culture. Now, this may seem like somewhat of an obvious statement, but it's very important and often overlooked in development practice. So I want to talk about why this is important to realize. How do LGBTI people differ from culture to culture, and what this means to development policy and practice. In many parts of the world, people make the assumption that LGBTI people are relatively the same from one place to another. In other words, the experience of being gay where I live is the same as the experience of being gay in other parts of the world. And I've got to say, the LGBTI movement may have set the stage for this misunderstanding. I think with the increased global visibility of LGBTI people, there is this kind of message being sent out that we are everywhere, LGBTI people are everywhere. That's in fact what the first principle says. So by saying that, it kind of gives the impression that it's the same group of people that are everywhere. But in fact, one thing that we have to realize, and I'll just read from the principles on this point, is that there's no universally accepted set of terms to describe an individual whose sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, or sex characteristics differ from the norm of their culture. So when terms such as LGBTI have been popularized by a globalized movement, it means we have to do the work of understanding LGBTI populations when we get to specific cultures and countries. Some of these differences are about language. The terms lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, these are English terms, and there may not be equivalent terms in local languages. Sometimes the difference is historical. In South Asia, for instance, there are populations called Hijra, Metis, and Nana, which have been around for generations, even hundreds of years, and these are part of the local culture. They have particular meanings which can also be tied to religion, caste, geography, and these identities can encompass both gender and sexual orientation. Sometimes it's age. We are seeing young people and adolescents across the world identify themselves with identities that are much broader and more diverse than that set of identities that older generations use to identify themselves. In Nepal, for instance, when there was an attempt at taking a census, there really wasn't the good work done beforehand to figure out that there are actually several different kinds of sexual and gender minorities. And so the ability to track particular groups and outcomes really didn't exist all that well without making this recognition. And that's why this is important for development practitioners. What must be done is in an interactive way with the local population, finding out how people categorize themselves, what does gender and sexuality mean in their life, and how it relates to other cultural meanings, such as gender roles, religion, caste, economics, because it's all going to be a little different. If we just impose the LGBTI framework, then we might end up kind of obliterating particular identities, like women who love women in Thailand can be considered Tom or D. That's two distinctly separate groups. Grouping them into the category of lesbian would not really help us understand the life experiences and particular outcomes and dimensions of development if we actually understood the particular subgroups that are in existence in that culture. Thank you.